Hey, this is Mad Movie Mark, the Mad Movie Mark Movie Review. Thank you for joining me as I review the 1929 mystery thriller Blackmail.
I'm not fed up with you.
Hey, that's not fair. I haven't even gotten started yet. This is going to be a pretty good review. If this is your first time joining me, I'm reviewing every movie in this book, the 1001 Movies You Must See Before You Die. Blackmail was directed by Alfred Hitchcock, who is personally my favorite director of all time. This movie is considered to be the first full-length British movie that has partial sound to it. I say partial, there's mostly sound to this movie. There are bits and pieces in the beginning that are like a silent film where people are talking and there's no words coming out of their mouths. And there's also no title cards either, so you kind of have to guess at what they're saying. But Alfred Hitchcock does a fantastic job in painting the picture perfectly so that you don't get lost. Now, a few years before this movie came out, there was a big popular film called The Jazz Singer, which was the first film to have sound. Alfred Hitchcock kind of saw where movies were going at that point, and he decided to reshoot some of his scenes with sound. Now, the problem here that he ran into, and the problem I think a lot of actors and directors ran into when they were trying to do talkies, is that he had an actress named Anna Andra who was very good, but had a very deep Czech accent. Now, of course, this wouldn't matter if it was a silent film because you're not going to hear what she says, but now that they're adding sound, it was difficult to understand her, so he decided to do something revolutionary, and he dubbed her voice live in real time, which is absolutely phenomenal considering what they had back then. I mean, sound was brand new, and he's like inventing dubbing, which seems like it's absolutely crazy. But besides that, there's also some Alfred Hitchcocky things in here. You have the wrong man narrative, moral ambiguity, shadows, amazing use of shadows, like absolutely. Alfred Hitchcock and his use of shadows it always blows my mind what he's able to do. He is so far ahead of his time in this movie when it comes to sound and the use of shadows. He's so far ahead of everyone else. It is absolutely phenomenal. And he also uses voyeurism, which I will get to in a minute, which he does a lot in his movies. So Blackmail is essentially about a woman who in the beginning of the movie is incredibly annoying. She is on a date with her police officer gentleman friend, and she is upset that he's late and that they might not get into this show or this dinner that they want to get into. So I think she also planned to meet another gentleman at the same time, because she had a note from this other gentleman that says, I'll be there at like 6:30 or something. So she basically brushes off her police officer boyfriend and goes on this date with this other guy who's an artist. One thing leads to another. She ends up going up to the artist's hotel room. She initially doesn't want to go with him because she's worried about the kind of person he might be. She doesn't really know who he is. She has reservations about this, but he kind of charms his way in and she goes up with him. And as she's going up to his room, her police officer date kind of sees what's going on and sees the gentleman that she's with. Now she goes up to the room, and while she's in this room, he is talking about a painting that he's doing, and he has this fresh like dress that he wants her to wear, and he's like, oh, I wish you would wear this dress so I can paint you. Now this is for everyone who's watching this right now. Obviously this is a huge red flag. First of all, she's in a place that's not hers, right? It's not a situation that she can control. It's a situation that he is completely in control of because it's his apartment building, which I don't recommend ever doing on a first date. But also he wants her to to change clothes, which means that she will be in a vulnerable position as she's changing clothes because she will not be able to defend herself as she's switching garments. And also, when she switches out of her garments and into something else, he has control over the garments that are laying around on the apartment. So these are all red flags. These are all really bad things. But she ends up doing it anyway. And of course, what we all think is going to happen happens. He tries to rape her. Now, as this is going on, she finds a knife and she kills him, essentially. After she kills him, the the date that she was originally on with that cop. The cop gets put onto the case. He sees the person who was killed, immediately knows that it was probably her that did it because that was the person he saw her with. And then he basically spends the rest of the movie trying to help her get out of the situation. Now the problem is there was another guy. I don't know where this other guy was located at. He is somewhere on the scene or near the scene of this happening, and he sees what's going on, and he knows that she is the one who killed this guy. He tries to blackmail her, and at first you don't really know what he wants. He doesn't ever actually say what he wants out of this blackmail, whether it's money. The only thing he really gets is food from them, but he's trying to blackmail her, and the cop is trying to get her out of the situation. And then, you know, at the end it all culminates into this very nerve-wracking ending. It almost becomes like a telltale heart situation for her, I would say, and that throughout the movie, after she does this murder, there's different scenes of like knives lying around and the talk of the murder and the talk of things happening, and if there's been any news about it, and you can definitely tell that she is spiraling about this and that she feels really bad about it happening. And when she sees the knife, it's almost like that heart beating under the floor, or however the telltale heart went, I don't remember. But you can definitely see that she feels really bad and guilty about this, and the guilt is just eating her up the entire time. And then even at the end of the movie, the gentleman who's trying to blackmail her, he ends up getting pinned for this murder. He ends up getting accused of it, and she's like, I can't let him take the fall for this. Like, I'm the one who did it. I realized he was trying to blackmail me. I realized he was trying to take advantage of the situation, but I'm the one who did it. I'm the one who should be at fault here. I felt sorry for her. In the beginning of this movie, I really didn't like her because she was annoying, because she kind of led this police officer on. I felt like she wasn't that good of a person in the beginning, but then you really start to feel bad for her because this is a bad situation that she got herself into. She really had no choice but to fight back and to kill this other guy, and she felt like she couldn't go to the police. I don't know if it's because that whole idea that, you know, she invited herself up into the room, so she thought maybe she would be accused of it. You know, like when women, it's a sad situation, but when women are raped, sometimes people like to try to think of reasons why or how they were at fault. Well, if you hadn't have dressed that way, if you hadn't have done this, if you hadn't have done that, maybe you let him on, maybe this, maybe that, instead of actually saying, like, no, it should never have happened. No matter what you're wearing, no matter what you said, no matter what you did, this is not something that should have happened. You should be able to go up to a person's room, I guess, and not fear that something's going to happen to you. That's not the world that we live in. But I feel like there's always this blame on the woman. Like, she obviously did something that made him want to do this action, which is absolutely ridiculous. Maybe that's the fear that was going on in her head. I don't know, but she just couldn't get herself to admit what happened until the end of the movie, where she finally gets the courage and she finally says, I'm going to turn myself in. I'm going to tell them that I did the murder. And I'm not going to tell you, I don't want to go into really how it ends or anything like that. There is a pretty exciting scene at the end that involves this guy. He ends up running through like this library and up this tower, and it's very suspenseful. The library scene is absolutely phenomenal. That's probably my favorite scene, one of my favorite scenes of the whole movie. Besides when she initially kills the artist, she like slowly backs out of this, it's like a bed with a curtain. She slowly backs out of the curtain with the knife and like turns to the camera and looks absolutely terrified and mortified and like scared and bewildered and shocked, and you can tell there's all these emotions going on in her head just by how she's standing, and she's even a little vulnerable. She's a little hunched over, and she's unsure of herself and unsure of the actions that just happened. And there's so much that's going on in this one scene, and there's so much she's telling you with her body language that it's phenomenal. Like it's so subtle, but I thought she did a really fantastic job of it. And I will say that, like I said, at the beginning of this movie, I wasn't really that happy with her. There are parts of this movie that are very slow. It's always a huge coincidence when, like, the one person that she was on a date with is the person who gets put on that case, and he's like the one person who can help her out. I don't know. That whole coincidence thing, I wasn't a huge fan of, but obviously that's what needs to happen to make this story work. And still, for the life of me, maybe I missed it, I still can't figure out how that guy, like, saw what was going on in order to blackmail her. I don't remember him being anywhere in the scenes when this thing was going on. There was, like, one cop through the window as she was looking out the artist's apartment. She saw a cop that was walking around. I thought he was a cop, but I'm really not sure where this guy was. Like, the whole time when he shows up and he's blackmailing her and he's talking about how he, like, found this glove on the scene and how he knows what's going on, I could not figure out, like, where he came from. But apparently he was there somewhere. But early Alfred Hitchcock, you can definitely see how he's so much ahead of everyone else. In my opinion, how he's so much ahead of everyone else in what he's doing, and you can see the genius coming out in his directing style. God, he's just he's so good. I don't know, I've only really seen one Alfred Hitchcock movie that I didn't like, and I think it was called Young and Innocent, or something like that. This is the earliest Alfred Hitchcock movie I've ever seen. This is his 10th movie. I haven't seen the other ones before this. I need to go back and watch them. I have seen a lot of Alfred Hitchcock, and I absolutely love him. I wouldn't say this is my favorite. I did enjoy this movie. I thought it was really good, especially for the time, especially for the what he had to work with. I thought he did a fantastic job. I will give this an 8.5 out of 10. That concludes the 1920s, at least if I take out the documentaries, which is what I did. So the 1920s are done. I will come out with a list that ranks all these movies in like 3 days. So I hope you enjoy that when it comes out. And my next movie, the first movie of the 1930s, is going to be called The Blue Angel. That'll be next. Thank you. Have a great day.